And yes, the tailgating continues, but they're inside McMahon Stadium now. Welcome, everyone, to the beginning of back-to-backs. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home of the Grey Cup. I know it's early August. It feels like November, not because of the weather, but because it feels like a playoff game here.
Yeah, there's some real intensity in the air here, Rod. It's a little bit warm for playoff weather just yet, but we'll see how things go the rest of the season. These teams may match up, particularly as the Saskatchewan Roughriders get their starting quarterback back in the lineup. They've won games, gone 5-0 with 3 different starters. Crandall's back today. Calgary looking to beef things up on the back end. Julian Battle makes his first start this season in that defensive secondary. He adds a little bit of size back there, which matches up well against Saskatchewan's receivers.
And here is this battle. First of the season, Marcus Howell back for Calgary. Jamie Borum to kick this off. Red and green crowd here at McMahon Stadium. Justin Phillips getting the ball on a kick against the wind. The wind would be a factor here, moving from left to right on your screen. And Henry Burris and the Calgary Stampeders, 3-2 on the season, if not for a couple of heartbreaking losses, could very well be unblemished.
Yeah, Henry Burris in the offense, though, Rod, playing very well. Look for a lot of 5-receiver sets today. That means a lot of number 86, Big Teo Johnson. The offensive line, where we've seen a lot from rookies Jesse Newman and Dimitri Zumpas, at another first-year player at tackle, Ben Archibald.
3 rookies on that offensive line. Play action, Burris. Lots of time. Here's the heat. Has to scramble now. Burris in trouble to the sideline and throws it away. Kenyon Rambo in the area, but really Burris threw that one out of bounds as the pressure was applied.
Yeah, very good start from this Saskatchewan defense. We know about the injury to John Chick. That means Luke Mullender is in at that defensive end spot. This linebacking core has been the strength of this team all season. Very active group. Anton McKenzie at that will position has been a standout. In the defensive secondary, they lose James Johnson at the wide side corner today. That means James Patrick draws into the lineup.
Second down, throwing down again for Burris. Catch made by Brett Ralph. Over the midfield stripe into Rough Rider territory.
Brett Ralph, the silent assassin, lines up to the outside as usual, wide side of the field. Nice blitz pickup here from Joffrey Reynolds, allows Henry Burris the time to set up. Ralph sits it down in space. If you leave this guy open, he will hurt you. He's proven this throughout his career.
18th catch of the season for Brett Ralph. Stamps on the move. Joffrey Reynolds gets the rock. Reynolds bashes only for a couple yards here. Tackle made Deke Bacon on the tackle.
Henry Burris, Rod, is among the many Calgary Stampeders looking to bounce back from that defeat in Winnipeg last week. He was out-dueled, to say the least, by Bombers quarterback Ryan Dinwiddie, who was making his first start.
Burris, though, having an outstanding season. Great numbers so far. Wide out again to Ralph, this time in and out of his hands, and that might have been right in the sun.
Well, that's one you won't see very often from Brett Ralph, one of the most sure-handed receivers in the Canadian Football League, but you'll see this one right on target from Henry Burris, right through the hands of Brett Ralph.
So that will bring out Burke Dales now. Third down play with a very strong breeze at his back here in this first quarter. Dales trying to angle one. This is going to go into the end zone. Carl Berman will just let it roll through the end zone for the single. Marcus Crandall back after his hamstring injury. Crandall back starting after missing a few games. Started the first 2 games of the season, replaced by Darian Durant. Now on the shelf with rib injury. Knocked down on his first pass here. Mike Labinjo knocking it down, and Marcus Crandall back in a city where he won a Grey Cup and was the most valuable player in that Grey Cup game.
Well, Mike Labinjo isn't going to let Marcus Crandall get off to a great start here. You'll see him come from the right side of your screen. Great job to fight off the cut block. Uses his hands to keep Belton Johnson off his legs and recovers in time to get his hands up and bat that one down. Labinjo, a converted middle linebacker, has had a strong season from that defensive end spot for the Stamps this year.
Penalty flag flies. Big hit there. And a guy you're going to talk about a lot and have been talking about this season, Wes Cates, the former Stampeder. What a season he has had. Has to be considered one of the most valuable player, most outstanding player candidates already, although we're only into week 6. Jake Ireland, our referee today. A little confusion down there. As the officials have their first huddle of the game.
A lot of debate going on, but either way, we're going to see the Saskatchewan Roughriders forced into a punt situation here.
We have a disqualification for physical abuse of an official. Calgary number 2, 25-yard penalty.
Juwan Armour has been kicked out of the ball game. And he better get off the field. John Huffnagel wants to understand what happened here, but let's take a look. And there it is there. Juwan Armour at the top of the screen ran into one of the officials, and he has been booted out of this game. And he's right in the face of another official here. Didn't get a really good look at it. But obviously...
Well, Armour was in coverage on the play, and the official is in his regular position. And Armour ran full throttle into him in coverage, but it was tough to tell if there was something that happened after that when he walked back to the official. Because it sure didn't look like he ran into him on purpose. He was looking at his receiver.
Well, Juwan Armour, as he's making his way off the field, could be a few dollars lighter too, as he continues to yell at the officiating crew here. Now, I'm not sure if it was an accidental contact or if they're saying it was intentional or there was something after. But Juwan Armour, who just came back to the Calgary lineup, did not last long in this game.
And this is a big injury for the Calgary Stampeders, who have had issues at this middle linebacker position all season. Juwan Armour actually started the season as their weak side guy, but they're comfortable with him in that middle spot. But now they're forced to juggle their lineup again to cover that middle linebacker spot.
Here's the official. And Armour knocked the official over, but something obviously happened after. And
Foul that happened after the play. Calgary had the option to accept the offside penalty. We will apply the offside penalty. We will go back 9 yards from where the ball is. We have a first down, Saskatchewan.
so again, you can go by video replay. We're not down there. Obviously, the officiating crew, talking with Jake Ireland, had reason to believe that Juwan Armour had done something or said something or something physical to the official.
Well, they said physical abuse was what the penalty call was. Now, initially, I had thought he was in coverage. He was actually in pursuit on the play. We couldn't see it, but there's a possibility. Armour looked like he was off balance, as though he may have been pushed.
By Gene Mikowski, who was in the area.
So with that in mind, I mean, we can't hear everything being said down there on the field, but it seemed like Juwan Armour's reaction of anger was because of the fact that this was completely unintentional on his part. It even looked as though he went back to ask if the official was okay. John Huffnagel's not buying this call for a second either.
So
This is
Juwan
gonna make a
Armour
mess of his lineup.
is in the locker room right now. The Riders, after all of this, have the ball at the midfield stripe and will go 1st and 10. On the reverse, Berman has room and has a first down. Carl Berman, one of the newcomers for the Riders this year. On a big play, a little end around, and it worked perfectly.
I'll just point out real quickly that the spot that they attacked on that play was the spot affected by that disqualification, as we saw Mike Labinjo move from the end spot to middle linebacker. Get a look at that Saskatchewan lineup, some juggling in the receiving core with leading receiver Andy Fantuz out. You're going to see Matt Dominguez play inside a fair bit, and on the offensive line, they're without their left tackle, Glenn January.
Crandall to Dominguez, had the ball in his paws and then dropped it. We're going to see some great matchups in the secondary today with Dominguez. Let's take a look at the defense now for the Calgary Stampeders.
This Calgary defense loses Howard Hodges at defensive tackle out this week with injury. Marcus Parker steps into his spot at linebacker. We see at middle linebacker, Juwan Armour is out. As I mentioned, Mike Labidjo moves from the end spot to take that middle linebacker spot. Of course, Julian Battle making his first start of the season, coming off the injury list at defensive halfback.
Draw play to Wes Cates. Plows for a first down. And the Roughriders, when you hear that roar, must feel like they're at a home game here. There are so many fans of the Saskatchewan Roughriders at this game.
Well, Marcus Crandall mentioned it yesterday. They feel like this is their 10th home game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This play is aided by a great block from the right guard. Mike Abumetric gets his hands on Dwayne Carpenter, the linebacker, brings him to the ground. Carpenter's looking for a holding call, but Big Mike Abumetric did a good job of getting his hands inside on that one, inside the frame of the body.
Wide open Dominguez with a move, could get to the end zone, knocked out at the 9-yard line by Brandon Smith. You're going to see a healthy dose here today of number 88.
Well, Matt Dominguez off to a slow start here in 2008. He didn't play in week 1, still recovering from knee surgery, but he's been in the lineup since week 2. Only 9 catches from this guy through the last 4 games. He's going to see a lot more action, a lot more balls now as he moves inside to that slot back position. They're going to rely on him. Andy Fantuz had caught 25% of Saskatchewan's completions this season. He's now out of the lineup. Dominguez needs to come up big.
Crandall looking over the middle, knocked down once again. An easy knockdown that time.
Looked like Dwayne Carpenter coming from the second level, who's able to get his hands up on this one. You're going to see him with his eyes in the backfield on Marcus Crandall. As Crandall slides, Carpenter slides. He's free in the lane, reads it, and gets his hands up just in time.
Well, Dwayne Carpenter will be forced into a lot of action today now with Juwan Armour out of that linebacking core. Crandall over the middle, net head on. Adarius Bowman is wrestled by Mike Labinjo out to the 30-yard line, but the whistle had blown and it was a loss on the play, so that will bring out Luca Conji, who has been perfect this season for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. With no Andy Fantuz, however, they have a new holder now for the Riders.
Yeah, the rookie Rob Bagg steps into that spot. Big responsibility, as you mentioned. Luca Conji has been perfect on field goals so far this season. 13 for 13. But with a new holder, there could be some adjustments here for him.
First one, no problem. 14 for 14 on the season for Luka Conji. 3-1 Riders. The two top offenses in the Canadian Football League putting points on the board. Not a lot of points so far, just 3-1 after the Luka Conji field goal. 8:47 to go, first quarter here. Beginning of back-to-back weeks. Riders and the Stamps. Jamie Borum. Again, this is against the breeze. Last time a little line drive kick. This one, a stronger boot. To the 20-yard line for Demetrius Summers. Gets it to the 30. 71-yard kickoff and a 26-yard return, and here comes Smilin' Hank again.
We'll see if Henry Burris can get the ball into the hands of Joffrey Reynolds a little bit here. You talk about the two top offenses in the league, Rod. Henry Burris told us a few weeks ago, going to play Anthony Calvillo in the Montreal Alouettes, oftentimes your best defense is a good offense. Ball control offense that'll keep Marcus Crandall and the Riders off the field would be of a big benefit to the Calgary Stampeders here.
Going with a six-pack of receivers, a quick hitter on the far side to Kenyon Rambo. Well, Juwan Armour has been ejected from this ball game. With more, let's go down to Heath Brown with Juwan.
Thank you very much, Rod. Juwan, let's hear it in your words. What happened?
I mean, it's obvious. It was the second play of the game. One old lineman knocked me into the ref. I went to check and make sure the ref was all right. He asked me, was it me? I said, yeah, it was me. I was knocked into you. Are you all right? That's all I said to him. And I'm coming off the field thinking that the play is done, and then next thing I know, I'm getting ejected.
What did they say to you?
That I ran into the ref deliberately. Some other nonsense. Another ref said he saw the whole thing. He's lying, because if he saw the whole thing, he would have saw I got pushed. It's sad, man. If some of these guys ever played the game, they would know how important this game is, especially in the West. And you don't eject somebody out the game, second play of the game. Maybe fourth quarter, if you have a suspicion that I had been getting bad calls, or maybe I had just been a jerk, or something to that nature, then maybe you have a suspicion, well, he might have did it on purpose. But it's a second play of the game. You have to be realistic, man. I have nothing against this guy. Like, why would you even take it to that extreme? Why would I even come and check on you if I was going to hit you deliberately? It's nonsense. And I hope that he acknowledge, after he sees the film, whoever his superior is, gets in his butt. You know, because
his superior is former head coach of the Stampeders, Tom Higgins, and a very disappointing return to the Stampeder lineup for Juwan Armour. Juwan, thank you for this.
Thank you.
Well, you heard Juwan's story, and I'll tell you what, some video evidence may back him up. That was Bill Haggins, who was the umpire who was knocked down. Now, clearly he could not see. He was in a blind spot himself, but you know, what do you do? At this point, the call has been made. Nothing can be said. Juwan Armour obviously pleading his case. John Huffnagel will plead his case.
Well, I feel for Juwan Armour.
Yeah.
This is a guy who gets paid to play football, and that's what he wants to do. He was wronged, plain and simple.
There's the umpire, Bill Haggins, who was knocked down by Armour. Henry Burris, Jermaine Copeland, Eddie Davis, the veteran, once drafted by the Calgary Stampeders, did not fall for the move and brought him down, but the yardsticks will be moved here.
Great matchup, as you mentioned, Rod, between a couple of veterans, Eddie Davis and Jermaine Copeland. Copeland tries to duck inside, but there's fundamental tackling from Eddie Davis. Make sure to wrap up. He doesn't just throw himself at the legs of the receiver.
Eddie Davis, 14 years in the Canadian Football League. Jermaine Copeland moving closer to 7,000 yards in his career. Burris, a little play action now. Here comes the rush. Burris heaves one to Brett Ralph, and it is picked off. Denate Hurd, playing in his first game with the Riders, starting at that spot, has the interception. Over here, Denate Hurd, 9 minutes into his CFL career, has his first interception.
Well, and you saw the receiver, number 11, Brett Ralph, had a couple of steps on him, but the ball ends up underthrown, and here's why. Pressure on Henry Burris, he's off balance, but can't step into the throw because he's got the pressure coming from behind, and Sean Lucas stepping up in his face. Pressure forces mistakes from quarterbacks, forces bad throws, and leads to interceptions.
Again, the Riders without James Johnson, James Patrick playing today. Denete Hurd. Here's Wes Cates again. Up the gut for a few yards, but Denete Hurd, 24-year-old out of LaGrange, Georgia, out of Stillman, playing in his first CFL game, has been on the practice roster with the Roughriders this season.
And Denete Hurd continuing the trend for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have that saying in their dressing room, when you're given the opportunity, make the most of it. Denete Hurd doing that in the early going here.
This is a team that's faced so much adversity. Not surprising that a defending roster with the Roughriders this season.
And Denete Hurd continuing the trend for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have that saying in their dressing room, when you're given the opportunity, make the most of it. Denete Hurd doing that in the early going here.
This is a team that's faced so much adversity. Not surprising that a defending champion would get off to a roaring start undefeated. What is surprising is the fact that they've done it missing so many key players and under a new head coach. Cates again. Mr. Versatility. If he doesn't do it on the ground, he'll do it in the air. Wes Cates, 13 months ago, was with the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, and it's so hard to imagine that a guy like Wes Cates, who everybody's touting as one of the most outstanding players in the Canadian Football League this season, how long it took for him to catch on anywhere. You see, he graduated from university in '02. The tryouts along the way in Buffalo with the Toronto Argonauts, played in the National Indoor Football League, if anybody's ever heard of that, playing flag football. The guy was working at a gym and a gas station.
Cates almost had it picked off. He has been a nomad, but never gave up on his dream of playing. It is a road certainly less traveled.
I was working at a training facility. I would get up at 6 a.m., open up the gym, work from 6 to 10, then train from 10 to 12. And then from around 12 to 3, I would also go and work at a gas station and stock their cooler.
He has provided a lot of energy now for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Last year, a Grey Cup ring over the middle. Dominguez spins. Right forward, Dominguez lost the football. Calgary says it's theirs. And it is. So the Riders turn it right back.
In fantastic field position here, right around midfield for that Calgary Stampeders offense. Keep an eye on number 4, Julian Battle. Gets that right arm in there, yanks on the right arm of Dominguez to pull that ball out. Wes Lysak is the man who falls on that football for the Stampeders. Julian Battle has been waiting for this opportunity. He's been sitting on the injured list through the first 5 games of the season, making the most of his opportunity here.
So the Stamps get the ball almost where they gave it away. Joffrey Reynolds, 3.5 minutes to go in this opening quarter. So a turnover apiece here now, an interception. That was the 6th pickoff that Henry Burris has thrown this season. And then the fumble right back by Dominguez and the Riders.
Keep an eye on your middle linebacker here, Maurice Lloyd. Watch him scrape and steps up to meet Joffrey Reynolds in the hole. He doesn't sit back and allow Reynolds room where he has time and space to juke to one side or the other. Good aggressive play from the Saskatchewan middle linebacker.
2nd and 6 to the air. Burris again to the middle. Nick Lewis has it. Oh, what a hurdle! Lewis leaps over the Riders. And a huge play.
I'll tell you flat out, when you've got athletes like Nick Lewis, you can get away with throwing crossing routes because of the things they can do after the catch. Short throw, Nick Lewis, one of the best in the league at those yak yards, right over the shoulders of Omar Morgan. This wasn't a guy diving at his legs, he was standing up.
Mathieu Bertrand for Edmonton the other night with a high hurdle. That's the best high hurdle we've seen this season from Nick Lewis. Reynolds on the pitch with some room, some blocking now. What a play by Nick Lewis. moving closer to 5,000 yards for his career.
On this play, I want to show you Teo Johnson. He's going to get a lot of reps. He's going to have to do a lot of blocking here with Rob Cote, the fullback, out of the lineup. They don't have another true fullback in this Calgary offense. Johnson is a tight end, 250 pounds. They're going to rely on him to fill some of those responsibilities. He does a nice job from that cluster formation to spring Joffrey Reynolds on that one.
Into the red zone. Burris. Little lob toss to Rambo, and again, he was hearing some feet behind him. Let's take a look at what Nick Lewis did and the great leap from Geronimo. Geronimo!
And Omar Morgan is standing straight up, and Nick Lewis just went over his head.
I got an interesting conversation with him. He is a guy full of confidence yesterday, talking about this team and how it's a share and share alike. A lot of receivers. They all love the football. Sandro DeAngelis gives his team a 1-point lead. Low scoring so far. Just over a minute to go in the first quarter on TSN. Here in the red and green house today. Carl Berman's back. Sandro DeAngelis with the kick. Just over a minute to go here in this opening quarter. A lot of intensity so far. We saw that with Juwan Armour getting ejected. A couple of turnovers, and I know it's not the playoffs hardly yet, and I know it's only week 6, but you know, the players talk about these two games and the possible playoff implications down the road. And you know, should the Calgary Stampeders be able to sweep these two games, they have the same record as the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Don't think for a second that those guys in the Calgary Stampeder dressing room haven't looked at the standings and recognized how big these two games can be. They have an opportunity here. They've had a couple extra days preparation, particularly compared to the Roughriders. They've got a banged up Saskatchewan team. They have an opportunity. They need to make the most of it.
Marcus Crandall, play action, looking for Mike Washington, then over the middle, finds a Darius Bowman. Washington was open on the sideline, went to Bowman on the outlet, and a Darius Bowman getting a chance certainly as well with all the injuries to the receivers this season. It started early in the year, and of course Andy Fantuz and DJ Flick are both on the sidelines now with broken legs.
Well, it sums up this team and the injuries they've had. When you look at the receiving core, week 1 versus Edmonton, the only guy from the starting quartet in week 1 who's in tonight is Bowman, but he had been out of the lineup and back in since, and he's playing a different position.
Crandall under center, hand off to Cates, dodges one, a dig of another, and Wes Cates finally will be brought down. Julian Collins had him by his jersey, otherwise Cates was gone. There is a flag on the play, came during the tackle, might have been against Calgary, maybe roughing here. The dangerous Wes Cates putting on a show so far
Major
here tonight.
Foul, piling on, Calgary number 33. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
Bemused John Huffnagel so far in this one here tonight. Let's take a look at this, Dwayne. This was another outstanding scamper by Wes Cates.
Yeah, nice job blocking by Wayne Smith at the point of attack. But here's the best part. Watch him protect that football. Feels contact, covers up right away, gets that second hand on the ball. Keep watching, you'll see the piling on penalty at the end. Number 33, Dwight Anderson comes flying into the pileup.
Crandall with time to the end zone for Bowman. Touchdown. What a route by a Darius Bowman.
New quarterback, new receivers, no problem for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. These guys just keep on ticking. Darius Bowman does a nice job here. He's going to be your inside receiver on this play. Starts off working to the outside. Brandon Smith does a good job getting hands on, but it's an out and up. Took his eyes away from his receiver. And that's what allowed Bowman to get that separation into the end zone.
First major score comes on the final play of the first quarter. And it's 10-4 Saskatchewan.
Between these two football teams, as you said, it's been close. Teams slow starting offensively, but things starting to pick up a little bit. Particularly the Saskatchewan Roughriders starting to get going. Wes Cates looking like he's getting in a little bit of a rhythm here.
Everybody's been calling this season the year of the catch in the Canadian Football League. The excitement certainly back offensively. It's also been the year of the major injury, the big break. Saskatchewan Roughriders know that very well. I'm amazed at their ability to plug and play.
Yeah, in the Saskatchewan Roughriders dressing room, the philosophy seems to be, we don't make excuses, we just make plays. Whoever you put in there has stepped up and has grabbed the opportunity and made the most of it. And that, a lot of that comes from Ken Miller, their head coach. It's just, he sets the bar high. Everybody in the room knows what the expectations are, and they deliver on them.
Demetrius Summers to the 35-yard line, just shy of that. So Henry Burris and the Stampeders will now try to respond here after an excellent drive. Mostly thanks to Wes Cates in that long rumble, but Henry Burris now 5 of 9 in the picks so far here. And we talked with him yesterday about his wealth of receivers, kind of like a poker player. You know, you got all the chips. Now what do you do? How do you get the jackpot? 3 receivers to his right. Reynolds in the backfield. Joffrey Reynolds. Omar Morgan meets him head on.
Not a lot of room to run for Joffrey Reynolds in the early going here. Working against a Saskatchewan defense that's been good against the run, and gives so much credit to a very active linebacking core. It's tough for blockers to get hands on these guys second level and really move them away from the football.
Brett Ralph, wide right. Burris looking over the middle and overthrown. Too high for Jermaine Copeland. So they'll have to kick it away. Another 2 and out here for the Stamps. Sputtering start for the Stampeders so far here.
Goes without saying that you want to avoid those 2 and outs, but as the game goes on, it just becomes more and more important. As we said, the Saskatchewan Roughriders seem like they're picking up some momentum offensively. Calgary's offense needs to respond to stem the tide of that momentum. Keep them off the field.
Burke Dales.
This is the second time, Rod, where it seems like there's some confusion from that Calgary punt team. Whether it's from the movement or just a different look, something they hadn't expected from the Saskatchewan return team. They were having trouble sorting things out, and it results.
Time count violation, Calgary number 16. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
The interesting thing about this is that Saskatchewan has 2 men deep. There are only 10 men up in the box. Usually when you see confusion, it's with 11 men up, where you anticipate more of a block type look, where they may have your guys outnumbered.
Brandon Browner has been their best special teams player this year, hustling downfield all the time. Browner's right in on Berman, but Berman trying to escape. Carl Berman going backwards and finally gets to the yardage stripe where he caught the ball. The Riders bring their offense back on the field for their first-year head coach, their offensive coordinator last year, Ken Miller.
The men on this club have a tremendous chemistry, and they just believe so much in themselves individually, plus they believe so much in each other. And so that when somebody has to step out, somebody is prepared to step in, and not only is that person ready to go, but the other people expect him to step in and do well.
Well, the players like each other. The players love their head coach. Matt Dominguez now. Dominguez has a first down, but to a man, you talk with them all. It was a very interesting situation, challenging one for Ken Miller to take over from a guy who became, as Eric Tillman called him, a rock star, Kent Austin, who went back to the college ranks. Ken Miller has not missed a beat here.
No, he sure hasn't. And you and I spoke before the game about Ken Miller earning the nickname Kent Light. Same philosophy, maybe a little bit different approach, doesn't come on quite as strong as Kent Austin, but the consistency in their philosophy in terms of building a team has been there. And the word that stood out to me from Ken Miller, chemistry.
Marcus Crandall takes off, slides, hook slide close to the first down marker. Richie Hall says he's kind of like a grandfather figure. You know, everybody loves their granddad, but when the granddad has a stern word, you listen.
Well, that's a great analogy, and Wes Cates was another one who summed up that thought, spoke of the wisdom of Ken Miller. He said, if you ever get a chance to just sit and talk with him, take the time to do it, because you can soak up so much by listening to this guy.
Guy who has learned from some of the greats in all sports, has taken a little bit of all of their attitudes and their wisdom. So far, it's led to an unbeaten record. Crandall gets out of the pocket.
Back in there,
and hit hard was Dominguez, and he's down and hurt. This is the last thing the Riders need. Right into traffic that time. Matt Dominguez usually comes down with those tosses.
Well, Matt Dominguez at the peak of his jump and also trying to twist to adjust his body to that football. Got hit from both sides here. Dwight Anderson from behind him and Wes Lysak flying up in front.
Dominguez sandwich. And it looks like he's okay. Jamie Borum back. Borum back at his 42-yard line. 43.6 yard average. Does have the wind at his back for this quarter. Marcus Howell will not get a chance to return this one. Angled perfectly. A good kick from Jamie Borum. The Riders, the defending Grey Cup champions, lead 10-4. Jamie Borum. Stampeders now in the shadows of their goalposts, with the shadows, the long shadows, late in the day here in Calgary, stretching across the field. Joffrey Reynolds trying to get them out of a hole. Pretty good run, but still it will be a second down, 3 or 4 yards.
Well, this is a good hard run from Joffrey Reynolds and a good play call from the Calgary Stampeders. Working in this toss play, attacking the outside. Reynolds has had a lot of success with this one this year.
The reason that Wes Cates is not a Calgary Stampeder, go back, is the reason that Joffrey Reynolds is here, of course, and he was the starter. Cates really relegated to spot duty, special teams play at best. And look at this play by the Saskatchewan defense. Maurice Lloyd flying in to make the stop, and once again the Stampeders will have to kick. Henry Burris having a few words for Maurice Lloyd.
Well, Lloyd does a great job again of stepping up into the hole. He's your middle linebacker, creeps up, timing up that blitz, and then reacting to where the football went.
Grill on grill. Lloyd and Burris. Berg Dales. No yards call here. Berman. This will be very good field position coming up for Marcus Crandall and the Saskatchewan Roughriders to put some more points on the board. Crandall's looked impressive here so far. Again, has not started since week 2 when Darian Durant then took over, and Saskatchewan Roughriders 5-0 using 3 different quarterbacks. That's unprecedented.
Unprecedented, but a sign of good coaching and a good system where you can plug different guys into that system and maintain your level. It's teaching your backups to prepare as starters, to expect to play, to not become complacent with being backups.
We have a no yards, Calgary number 27, 15-yard penalty. We have illegal block, hands to the face, Saskatchewan number 27, net, it will go up 5 yards, first down, Saskatchewan.
And the Riders will go back on offense when we come back to Calgary. Happy birthday, Brandon Browner, 24 years old today.
Yeah, Brandon Browner gets caught for the penalty on this one for no yards, but he has been a force all year. You see him doing battle. Always the first guy down on this Calgary punt team. He doesn't have a lot of special teams tackles. You don't see him at the top of the stats, but he gets down there so quickly that he so often affects returns. It's virtually impossible to return the ball to his side because you always have to turn and go the other way because he gets down there in that lane.
What a great matchup. Browner, who's not your prototypical DB, and that man, Matt Dominguez, almost the same height. Dominguez might be a little taller. Now Browner will switch off as they go up the middle again to Wes Cates. Swallowed up that time at the line of scrimmage.
The blocking created a cutback lane for Wes Cates here, but Shannon James did a nice job to flow with that play and get back into that cutback lane. Then a solid job of tackling a guy who's not always that easy to bring down in Wes Cates.
Two teams who are 1-2 in the league in points scored coming into this week. 1-2 in points again coming into this week. Crandall, Washington on the sideline, steps out at the first down marker. Mike Washington gets a chance to get back in the lineup here this week, and look at this, he goes down with injury. Again, the Roughriders not only lose DJ Flick, one of their star receivers early in the season, but Andy Fantuz last week. You kind of wonder, how they've been able to keep patching up this team, and when these losses are going to start to pile up, if they haven't piled up already.
Well, it's so true. You have to credit them, first of all, for the depth within the organization, that with the injuries they've had so far, they have yet to be forced to bring people in from outside the organization to fill voids. They have people on their practice roster. They've been fortunate, just plain lucky, quite frankly, to have people coming off the injury list at the same time as they've had others going on. But as you've said, Rod, how long can their luck be maintained? We see Mike Washington. He had been on the disabled list to start the year. He's ready to come back as Andy Fantuz goes out. Matt Dominguez had just come back when DJ Flick went out. But you get to a point eventually where you're going to run out of depth.
Yeah, and
there's still a lot of season to go here in 2008.
Well, the Riders have been able to add players, and you have to credit their general manager, Eric Tillman, the organization through the years. How about this? Look at back in May 2006. Look at the players in that month, practically the same day that the Riders signed as free agents.
And those are all guys who came in for their first training camp in 2006. And, we all know what a great job Eric Tillman has done over the last almost 2 years. The guy who brought those guys in was Roy Shivers as general manager. That's where the depth of this organization began. Those guys all came in, made the team as backups or practice roster players, and look at what prominent roles they're playing now a couple years later.
Cates up the middle. Now to near the 30-yard line, but again, Wes Cates was traded for Rob Blasio last year. And at the time, a lot of people thought, well, obviously Cates went on to win the Grey Cup. The Riders get the better of the trade. But at the time, Wes Cates wasn't playing. Rob Blasio was a backup with the Riders at the time, wasn't playing. So, in effect, at the time, didn't look like it was going to be a major trade. It turned out to be an amazing trade for the Riders because right now Cates is playing as one of the best backs in the CFL. Crandall misfires this time, looking for Berman.
Big stand here from the Calgary defense at a time when they needed it. They were faced with defending a short field. So to hold Saskatchewan to a field goal here, they've done very well. But in that case, you maybe see a little bit of the rust or a lack of timing, lack of sync between two guys who haven't worked together a lot. Carl Berman, a backup receiver, a guy who's been forced into the lineup with these injuries, and Marcus Crandall, whose repetitions in practice have been limited over the last 4 weeks by that hamstring injury.
39-yard kick for Luka Conji. It's up. Mr. Perfection has not missed this season.
As we continue to tout the depth, the ability of guys to step in without missing a beat, Rob Bagg holding on those field goals. Rob Bagg is so far 2 for 2.
13-4 Riders back down to the sideline. Here's Heath Brown.
Thanks, Rod. The battle of the trenches is clearly being won by the Riders in this game thus far, and some very colorful language is being exchanged between coaches and teammates here on the Calgary bench. Nick Lewis walked by the offensive line and told them to start playing like men, and offensive coordinator George Cortez told the offensive line if they can't block anyone, then to please retire after the game. Some strong words indeed.
Well, there might be some words as well. Brett Ralph, that's 2 drops tonight. One went through his hands earlier, and he knows he should have had that one as well. And the Stamps have not looked good offensively so far here.
No, they haven't. They can't have drops at a time when they need to get something going. They finally get a play executed at the line of scrimmage, get the ball delivered. That's a time when they need Brett Ralph to come up with that catch and make a play.
3 rooks on the offensive line so far this season have done a tremendous job for Calgary. Into traffic for Nick Lewis. And this team right now, for all what they've done this season and all the offense, a reasonable facsimile at best. They are out of sync.
And that last pass to me by Henry Burris looked like a sign of frustration as much as anything, as he's just desperate to try and get something going. He forced that football into double coverage, not a well-thrown ball.
In the shadows again, Burke Dales. 1 returner back this time. It's Berman again. Wobbly kick. Browner gets tripped up, but there he is again. And once again, Brandon Browner in on the play. An amazing special teams player. 13-4 Saskatchewan. Welcome back to McMahon Stadium. Our team calls it the house that Dwayne Ford built. Look at those pictures. How come that's practice stuff there, Dwayner? Man, you got the big shoulder pads there.
I didn't have pads on in that picture.
Dwayne Ford, a big part of a couple of cups here in Calgary. And our broadcast booth. And a good toss by Crandall. Ball taken away. Dominguez, the reception, but the whistle had blown. I know you love coming back here to a place that was very special to you, and it was a big dinner last night at halftime. Here tonight, 3 former Stamps will have their name put on the Wall of Fame, including a guy you know very well.
Yeah, a couple of former teammates. Offensive lineman Rocco Romano, of course, quarterback Doug Flutie. 3rd member of a great class, former Stampeder defensive back Frank Andruski, joining that Wall of Fame. Great honor for those guys, and well-deserved.
Wes Cates, close to a first down. A lot of reminiscing going on the last couple of days with you and some of your old mates.
Yeah, it's been nice to be back here in Calgary. It was, we had a great run here. Nice to get together with some of the guys last night. My old locker neighbors, Jay McNeil, Rocco Romano, Roger Reinson. We had a few laughs.
And again, Doug Flutie going in the Wall of Fame, will go in the CFL Hall of Fame also this year. 2nd and 2. Cates stopped by Labinjo, but with this spot, they should move the yardsticks, depending on the spot. Looks like a first down, and it is. Mike Labinjo has certainly had Wes Cates in his sights today.
The Calgary Stampeders are so fortunate to have the versatility of Mike Labinjo in their lineup. He's been forced back to that middle linebacker position, which had been his position throughout most of his career, but moved up to the defensive line this year and was doing an outstanding job at end. But a disqualification on the 2nd play of the game at Juwan Armour.
Bowman dropped it. That would have been another one for the highlight reel. For a moment, it looked like he had a one-handed catch.
And credit Wes Cates on this play. Sorry, Wes Lysak. We talk about Wes Cates so much. Wes Lysak, the free safety, as Bowman got inside position. on Brandon Browner. But Lysak, that free safety, his job to be deep and help out over the top. Gets there just in time to jar that ball loose and break up the play.
Wes Lysak, when he was in Calgary at one time, before he came back to Calgary, good friends, locker mates with the quarterback now of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Marcus Crandall. Crandall spins out of the backfield. That could have been picked off. And so now the Riders will have to kick. 4 minutes to go before halftime.
Marcus Crandall's very fortunate on this play. We've seen this sort of reverse pivot screen play, usually throwing the ball back to their slot backs. Marcus Crandall is relying on the timing of this play to work out perfectly. He was fortunate to avoid an interception on that one. Because again, you see how pressure can create mistakes from quarterbacks. You bring the heat, you hope you get a sack, but that's not the sole purpose of bringing pressure. The sack is the bonus.
This would have been about a 51-yard field goal, but Jamie Borum is going to punt it away. Marcus Howell let it bounce into the end zone and will give up a single point. Make it a 10-point game now for the Riders. Well, Wendy's kick for $1 million is back. Dwayne Ford, your chance to be one of 2 kickers from Western Canada, 2 from Eastern Canada. We'll go head-to-head to qualify for the live halftime show. You can enter at tsn.ca/Wendy's or watch CFL on TSN for keywords to get bonus entries. And unfortunately, TSN employees are not eligible. So
they were afraid of us.
Yeah, well, $1 million is nothing to you.
Pocket change. You saw that practice film of me.
Yeah. Can you kick with those shoulder pads on? 3:26 to go before the half. Burris on an excellent bit of play action and misdirection has a first down.
This is Calgary Stampeders bread and butter. Working that read option, zone option with Henry Burris and his running back, Joffrey Reynolds. They're going to start keying on Reynolds to the inside, then Burris has that option to pull the ball down and either run or pass.
Burris has not had success in the air, though. 1 for his last 6. Lewis, head down, forward. Nick Lewis now has 5,000 yards in his career. And more importantly right now, a key first down.
Well, you mentioned those 5,000 yards. I'd love to know how many of them have been after the catch.
5,000 yards, 5 seasons. 3-minute warning. Stamps on the move.
Well, we mentioned how great Nick Lewis is after the catch and came up with a terrific effort on that last play. Good hard run. It looks like Nick Lewis is just going to get buried on this play after he catches a quick little out route, quick flat route, and you see the halfback bearing down on him, but he is so strong on his feet, great balance. He reminds me a lot of Terry Vaughn after the catch with that low center of gravity and quick feet.
Burris had to throw it near the seats on that. Again, the Riders have applied a lot of pressure here and have been feasting on those 3 freshman offensive linemen.
They sure have. Dimitri Zumpas and Jesse Newman at the guard spots, and now Ben Archibald plugged in at the left tackle position for the Calgary Stampeders. Clearly having some issues picking up some aspects of that Saskatchewan blitz package.
See if the Stamps can find a way to get some more points on the board before halftime. Pump fake, and Ryan Thelwell dropped it. That's 3 here tonight that Calgary receivers had their hands on the ball. Maybe should have had it.
And it just seems like that great effort from Nick Lewis a couple of plays ago went to waste. This is a tough catch for Ryan Thelwell as he's diving for the ball, but he's got a legitimate chance at it. He gets his hands at it. From a fundamental point of view on that one, you'd say he's got to change his hand position to catch that ball. Ball up above his waist, shoulder height like that, he's got to get thumbs together as opposed to the pinkies together. And that one, sort of an underhand catch.
Second down conversions have been a problem. No yards for the Stamps on their last 5 second downs. This time, some positive yardage And that spot should be good enough for a first down. Brett Ralph takes a hit and has the catch. So finally a second down conversion.
Yeah, and very good read and react to that pressure by Henry Burris and receiver Brett Ralph to time that one up. With the defender right in his face, Burris throws it on time. Has to rely a little bit on his receivers to understand that that pressure's coming, so they get their heads around quickly as well.
Here's the rush again. An out pattern. Jermaine Copeland with a bit of dropsy. This is very unfamiliar territory for the Calgary Stampeders. Sure-handed receivers normally.
You saw Jermaine Copeland raising his hand. The little "my bad" signal on this one, but a lot like Thelwa. Watch the position of his hands. Reaching for an underhand catch. His hands are in a stronger position to catch that football if he turns them the other way.
That's now 4 in this game. Stamps receivers should have had.
Missed opportunities.
John Huffnagel, the former quarterback, offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Stamps. Far side, always open. 7-11. Brett Ralph.
Yeah, people keep giving Brett Ralph that big cushion out to the wide side. Henry Burris keeps throwing him the football. Until somebody's going to stop it, why not? Silent assassin, Brett Ralph, gets overlooked so often in that receiving core with Kenyon Rambo, Nick Lewis, Jermaine Copeland. He's kind of the forgotten guy so often, but he produces so consistently.
So often, he finds himself vacated territory and comes up with some big plays. That's another first down here with 2 minutes to go. In this sold-out McMahon Stadium, full of Rider fans, full of Stampeder fans. Looks like a giant Christmas tree in the stands, doesn't it? Red and green.
Well, for football fans, this matchup is like Christmas in August.
(14-4). 2 minutes to go before halftime. Burris and another strike. Jermaine Copeland, Omar Morgan in on that play. Very uncharacteristic in this first half. Calgary Stampeders, the connections, especially Burris and Copeland.
You're so used to seeing these guys make plays, just unable to get it going. It's tough to fathom why for a group that's been fairly consistent this year in particular, but over the last couple of years.
Saw those red contact lenses that Henry Burris wears. Shields the sunshine. A lot of pro athletes wear them, particularly baseball players. Burris avoids the rush, will take it himself, and is brought down. Kidwana Jones and Maurice Lloyd both bashing Henry Burris.
See things continue to get heated out there on the field between these two football teams. I love it.
It has been intense from the get-go here, and so the best that the Stamps will do is a field goal. Sandro DeAngelis, 11 of 14 on the season. This will come from 37-yard line. Wind has died down now here late in the second half. He is against the breeze. Play clock down to 4 seconds. Here's the snap and the kick. And right down Main Street. 7 points for the Stamps in the first half, but not a major score. They haven't been able to move the football. LTSN is the home of NASCAR. Tune in tomorrow for coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Pennsylvania 500 live from Pocono Raceway. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. NASCAR Sprint Cup from Pocono tomorrow in TSN High Definition. Veteran quarterback Dave Dickinson on the sideline. Right now a stymied Calgary offense. 90 seconds to go. Chance now for the Riders to put points on the board before the half. Crandall, an out pattern and knocked out of bounds, and this is a penalty flag John Huffnagel's not going to be happy with this because Corey Grant got knocked out of bounds, and this will move the football again.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 33. 15-yard penalty.
Dwight Anderson again here, the infraction.
You see that shove to the back from Dwight Anderson when Corey Grant was clearly out of bounds. The ball wasn't going to be caught. Bad decision.
Stamps already without Juwan Armour. A play that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about the next week or so. Controversial ejection at the beginning of the game.
Just looking down at the sideline, I saw defensive coordinator Chris Jones signal to Dwight Anderson, think. Got to think out there.
Crandall shotgun in the pocket over the middle. That was intended for Michael Palmer. Set up a 2nd down and 10. Palmer getting a lot of playing time now too with the injuries in the receiving corps. Former Argo, came over last season and now has a Grey Cup ring. The same kind of ring that, of course, Wes Cates had. He brought it to Calgary this week. He was showing it off, wasn't he?
He sure was. Wanted to not taunt his friends, but rub it in maybe just a little bit.
Nice looking bobble. Defending champion, 2nd and 10. Knocked down again. Julian Battle. What a debut he's making back there today. So Calgary, there's still a lot of time on the clock. Maybe a chance to pull even closer or even tie the game before the half.
And nice play here from Julian Battle. Weak side halfback came on the blitz. And again, you see the benefit of the size he adds. Calgary have been playing all season with smaller halfbacks. Calvin Bannister at 5'8". Brandon Smith at 5'10". They get Julian Battle back, 6'3". You know what that can mean in coverage in terms of getting hands on receivers, matching up with bigger receivers and so on. But you saw another benefit there when you run that halfback blitz, a guy who can take away a little more of that passing lane when he gets his hands up.
Marcus Howell has not had a good average this year on his returns. Only 7 yards, and that's about 7 yards that time. They haven't been getting a great return on their return game and would like to break something today. So Henry Burris getting another shot here. Look at the numbers that Calgary puts up per game.
Oh, and it's strength versus strength coming into this one. Calgary's top-ranked offense versus Saskatchewan's top-ranked defense. I'd say with Calgary through 29 minutes being held to 7 points and no touchdowns, the way they've struggled here, first half of this one goes to the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And conversely, the same is true the other way. Saskatchewan #1 in points. Calgary #2. On the field, number 35, Brandon Lynch.
Brandon Lynch took a lick on this play from Nick Lewis. Came back with a big block right at the end of the play. You see him get launched.
It's one thing that is very underrated. Nick Lewis throws some mean blocks and has sprung a few of his teammates this year. Going above and beyond. Lynch jogs off.
There are very few players in this league, regardless of their size, who are stronger on their feet than Nick Lewis.
Or when he's off his feet like he was earlier in this game. Put a Superman cape on him. He was flying through the air on a high hurdle early on. Stamps for all the points they've been able to score this year. Have not found the end zone yet here tonight. A minute to go before the half. Burris to the sideline again. Burris takes a hit just as he threw and is slow to get up. Blanket coverage again by the Riders secondary.
And Rod, Henry Burris was thrown down hard on this one as he stepped up to throw. Eddie Davis was on the halfback blitz. He wrapped him up, and then he also was hit from behind. Looked like Deke Bake, who came in from the back. They kind of tossed Burris to the ground as he was in a vulnerable position there.
Hasn't been sacked, but has been pressured in a big way. Thelwell can't bring it down. And another 2 and out And just when you thought the Stampeders may be able to mount a drive, guess who's getting the ball back and still can put points on the board here as the defenses start to take over here in this second quarter.
This is a time where the Calgary Stampeders need a big punt from Burke Dales, and a great job by that punt cover squad. Forced Saskatchewan's offense to go a long way.
Dales near his 20-yard line. Harl Berman back again. Weston Dressler was doing all the returning early on, but of course he left the lineup. One of the many injuries for the Riders. Berman brought down by the birthday boy. An electric special teams player, Brandon Browner.
Now, when you put Brandon Browner out there, he's what you call a gunner on special teams. Just let him run. See what he can do. A force on this Calgary punt team. Always the first man downfield.
Calgary number 27, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Calgary face mask.
Browner was the man who got flagged, apparently fighting off the block.
And there it is right there on James Patrick. And, well, he did have a hold, so add a few more yards on here for the Riders. Under a minute to go. Crandall hands to Cates on the draw play. Wes Cates, his first touch in a while, and a big gain to the midfield stripe.
Great execution of the sprint draw play here. Nice little delay. Looked like Marcus Crandall was going to keep rolling to his left. Calgary defense starts thinking pass. All of a sudden, there's a hole for Wes Cates.
Came in as the CFL rushing leader, adding to his tally. And the catch made. Mike Washington, who was hurt earlier, back in the ball game. And close to a first down again. 33 seconds, so time for a couple more quick hitters and maybe a chance for Luca Conji. Maybe even a chance to go vertical here and try to find the end zone. Got to use the clock properly here, and there was the greatest bit of acting I've seen in quite some time. Mike Abou-Meshrik going down. Now you hope he's not hurt, but let's take a look.
Well, it looked like Mike legitimately cramped up and was trying to get off the field, and then was probably told by the bench to go down, and, well, he's not the most graceful guy in the world.
That is not a gymnastic maneuver that you'll be seeing at the upcoming Olympics.
I was going to say, this is why you don't see 300-pound men competing in rhythmic gymnastics. It's not that pretty.
Mike Abou-Meshrik, and again, it was limping off. They told him to go down, and he went down all right. A little time here for the Riders to talk about it. Ken Miller and Marcus Crandall. Lost in all the talk about quarterbacking this year, and you might want to call him Marcus Dangerfield. He's never really had any respect, despite he's been an MVP, Grey Cup winner, kind of a backup starter. Marcus Crandall was given the starting job this year, and the Riders were able to trade away Kerry Joseph because they had a tremendous amount of faith. Ken Miller, Eric Tillman, and Kent Austin in Marcus Crandall.
A lot of people forgot that last year coming out of training camp, there was a quarterback controversy in Saskatchewan. Some people within the organization were leaning towards Marcus Crandall ahead of Kerry Joseph as their starter. That's how much faith they had in Crandall.
Crandall play action. Lots of room here. Will just step out of bounds, and he's knocked out of bounds. And the Riders sideline wants a penalty flag. There is no flag on the play. Crandall was hit hard, knocked out of bounds, and he was just kind of lollygagging to the sidelines.
Well, there was probably a little extra oomph on this one from Fontaine Hunter, just helping Marcus Crandall out of bounds a little bit.
So 16 seconds. Again, a chance to get a little closer for Luca Conji.
Yeah, you wonder a little bit on that play, seeing Marcus Crandall run, if that hamstring still isn't quite 100%,
exactly.
Because he sure didn't try to burst upfield. He took what he could get comfortably.
And had to pay for it in the end. Over the middle, Dominguez fumbled it. Picked up, Wes Cates, touchdown. Dominguez is hurt. Cates has the touchdown in what has been a remarkable season, a rather remarkable touchdown.
As the saying goes, lucky to be good, you've got to be good to be lucky. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are sure, well, lucky to get the touchdown, but unlucky if Matt Dominguez is unable to come back in this game, and it didn't look good.
Dominguez was injured last year, tore his anterior cruciate ligament. Missed the last 5 games and the playoffs. Limping on the sidelines. But talk about a Rough Rider bounce in a stadium that they may even claim to be their own today with so many Rider fans. With 8 seconds to go, here's a little pitch and catch, a drop, a pickup, a major.
Without breaking stride.
You can't draw that up.
A lot of people would make the argument, or had the feeling coming into this game that the breaks for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, in the game of inches, the inches seem to favor them in terms of so many calls. And
Wes Cates did, didn't he, yesterday when he talked to us? Said, hey, refs, thank you. Been a lot of close calls. And Wes Cates now with 9 touchdowns on the season. He's scored them in a variety of ways, hasn't he? Multi-dimensional back. Hard to believe, 13 months ago, traded away a couple of years ago, pumping gas, working as a storage guy. Played in the National Indoor Football League, flag football, and now one of the stars of this league.
And it's so hard to imagine in this day and age with so many scouting tools available and the communication that goes on for word of players to get out, to communicate about great players, and so many opportunities for them to play with various leagues.
How they missed on that guy.
Yeah, for so long. I want to go back for a second and take a close look at this catch, question mark, by Matt Dominguez. We talk so much about these bang-bang plays.
Oh, I did. Yeah, you did.
That ball came out pretty quickly. You know, the Calgary Stampeders might have wanted to toss a flag on that one, given the time left in the half, and challenge and just see if possibly that ball could have been ruled an incompletion, to say he didn't have possession long enough for it to be a completion.
3 seconds to go, and Henry Burris and the Stampeders are going to take a knee in what has been a very ineffective first half offensively. Baffling one for the Stampeders. Came in here feeling that the Saskatchewan Roughriders might be vulnerable with their injuries and a few wins that some might have said questionable. No question so far. Cates has been on fire. The Riders lead 21-7. Second half, TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home of the Grey Cup. Game that had a playoff type intensity early on here. The Saskatchewan Roughriders getting a couple of major scores, one after a fumble late in the second quarter, and they lead 21-7. So Dwayne Ford, what do the Riders have to do? What do the Stampeders have to do to hold on?
Well, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, it's about their defense keeping up the pressure on the Calgary Stampeders. Oh, Calgary's offense hasn't handled it well. Mistakes have been forced. From Calgary's point of view, be a little bit less predictable. And one of the key guys in that is Roughriders Reynolds. And specifically, if Calgary wants to get Reynolds involved and establish the run game, then they need to be committed to the run game. Sometimes running in what seem like obvious passing situations, run the ball. Make Saskatchewan honor the run and play the run and get the ball into the hands of Roughriders Reynolds. Impose your will on the defense a little bit.
Little anger on that sideline right now, and I'm sure in that locker room. Stampeders have gone 30 minutes and 48 seconds without scoring a touchdown going back to their last game. It's unheard of for this Stampeder offense. Berman trying to cut back here and takes it to the 31-yard line. Saskatchewan Roughriders, though, riding this unbelievable, undefeated string. 5 straight wins, and here's the numbers for the quarterbacks after 2 quarters.
And neither set of numbers particularly outstanding. Marcus Crandall slightly more efficient than Henry Burris, but you also have to factor in the drops by Henry Burris's receivers. He should have at least 11 or 12 completions. Big thing is those 2 touchdowns. But, you know, Marcus Crandall has had a lot of help from Wes Cates and the ground game. Henry Burris hasn't had much help on the ground yet.
Jumbo package here. Now the receivers come out. Corey Grant, one of the receivers, looks for Michael Palmer, who did not catch that football. The shadows starting to stretch again. Here at McMahon Stadium, Michael Palmer knows he didn't get that one.
Yeah, not even going to try and sell this one. He tried hard to get the hands underneath it, but bounced off his shoulder pads before he could do that and hit the ground.
2nd down and 10. Stampeder defense has to come up big here too in this second half. Turnover's a big part of that first half. Throwing down now for Crandall. Big pattern for Washington, takes a lick and hangs on to it. Close to a first down. Mike Washington, hurt in that first half, has come back with a couple of big receptions for the Riders.
They got Mike Washington in a single receiver side. He's working against Brandon Browner on the short side, just a hook in front of him. Out around first down distance, does a nice job holding onto that football as he takes a lick. That's the kind of play that the Calgary Stampeders needed from some of their receivers in the first half.
Yeah, you know, you look at some of those plays at the time when those receivers dropped the ball, they were kind of rally drive killers. Stamps unable to get anything going offensively and find the end zone. Looks like the Riders will be short here. And no decision from the bench yet. Here comes some big bodies on a 3rd down play now. He's bringing out Chris Sarka. And
Calgary
Stephen
responds.
Giles.
Calgary responds, bringing in extra defensive lineman Miguel Robidet, the tackle spot.
Giles will just plunge forward himself, likely here. And he gets the first down. But there's a flag on the play. Couple markers at both sides here.
Offside. Calgary number 97, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Andy Freeman, so it didn't matter. And Marcus Crandall will come back into the game now and try to continue this drive for the Riders. Again, the Calgary front line missing Howard Hodges in this game. A regular starter. Once again plows forward, and Wes Cates has not been stopped in his tracks too often here tonight. He's had a lot of positive yardage.
That's been the story of Wes Cates' season, really the story of Wes Cates' career. Just give him a crack and watch him go. Good push. Chris Zarka gets a piece of Browner on that peel back block. Cates gets the shoulders turned upfield.
Another 100-yard rushing game for the CFL rushing leader. The pitch this time cuts back inside, and there this time is stopped short of another first down. On 2nd and 1. And depending on the spot, will they go for it again here? Injured rider in the backfield. Neil Hughes, who has been so effective, filling in for Chris Zarka. Zarka's back with the Riders now, coming back from a broken foot. And Hughes now hurt. Looks like they will not go for the third down play this time. It looks like a couple of yards, so Borum will kick it away. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, the key to this play is the secondary support. Watch Brandon Browner right here. Blows up the lead block of the fullback Hughes. That's where Hughes got hurt. Browner steps up. That allows Shannon James to step in underneath.
Well, maybe the Calgary Stampeders can take a page from their northern neighbors, the Edmonton Eskimos, in a game that was very similar to this one. The Eskimos were very flat heading into the second half, and it was their defense that turned the game around for them, and suddenly there was no stopping. The Stampeders have not been able to get their crowd, although there are a lot of Rider fans, into this game. 12:20 to go in the third quarter. Let's go down to Heath Brown on the sidelines.
Guys, Matt Dominguez is not on the Saskatchewan bench. He is doubtful for the second half with a knee injury.
Well, injury list continues to grow, and the last guy they need on that list is Matt Dominguez, already without DJ Flick, already without Andy Fantuz. So it was expected that Matt Dominguez would be stepping up. Right now has stepped out of the lineup again. Marcus Howell. Can the return game turn something around here for the Stampeders?
Well, you get concerned with anybody when you hear the words knee injury, but particularly when you hear that with Matt Dominguez, given his history over the last couple of seasons. So we all, as observers of the CFL, hope that that's not too serious.
Angling one. No yards call. And Henry Burris get his Stamps on track when we come back. Back at McMahon Stadium. Sun starting to retreat a little here. Shadows growing. Henry Burris and the Stampeders offense has been struggling here today. 21-7. The Stamps in arrears right now.
Well, they need to get Joffrey Reynolds going, because this is becoming a little bit too much of a habit for the Calgary Stampeders. Last week, Joffrey Reynolds was held to 35 yards on 8 carries, just 26 yards on 7 carries here today. We know you're going to run him on first down. Run him sometimes on second down and try and establish that. Throw the ball sometimes on first. Don't be predictable.
Burris, quick hitter on the out pattern to Kenyon Rambo, who has been absolutely silenced today. The big guns, Rambo, Copeland. Seen Nick Lewis with a couple catches, but virtually muffled here. Not been heard from the Stampeders. And once again, a 2 and out.
When it becomes obvious what you're going to do in various situations, it allows the defense to get into a rhythm in terms of what they're going to do. And when a team's trying to bring pressure on you, when they know you're going to pass the football, that allows that front seven, particularly the defensive line, to just tee off. That's where you need to mix it up occasionally, even for 1 or 2 series.
Dales with the wind, a towering kick. Trying to find the outside. Berman brought down, a fumble. Brandon Browner was in there again. They were able to hang on to the football. Brandon Lynch hangs on. Well, the Purolator sack tally brought to you by Purolator, where business is going. The Montreal Alouettes lead the way. BC, you can see Saskatchewan, 7 sacks in total, and this team is 5-0.
But today's game is a great example of how pressure isn't necessarily about bringing sacks. Sacks are a bonus when you bring pressure. But the main benefit that you're going to get from your pressure package, your blitz package, is it forces quarterbacks into hurried throws, and that can mean bad decisions, which can translate into turnovers.
Right now, Eric Tillman, GM of the Riders, must be shaking his head and wondering if his receiving corps is a black cloud over it this year. Another injury. Already Matt Dominguez out, which looks like for the game, and maybe an injury to that same knee that he had to have operated on last year. Ken Miller hopes it isn't. Let's go back to look at Dominguez's injury as Carl Berman, another receiver, is down. It was Dominguez's left knee last year that tore the ACL on. And that's what he immediately clutched.
You see him grab at that left knee right away. It looked like there may have been a quick hyperextension there for Matt Dominguez. And that's where oftentimes those ACL injuries come from. So there has to be a lot of concern for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, especially when you see yet another receiver go off the field. DJ Flick, Andy Fantuz, Matt Dominguez today, Carl Berman. They have TJ Acree on the 9-game injured list, Dave McCoy on the 9-game injured list, Chris Getzlaff on the 9-game injured list. Best case scenario, they can pull one of those guys off with that 9-game injured list. In each half of the season, you're able to pull one player back early. There's been a bit of a feeling that Saskatchewan has been trying to wait it out and maybe use that one freebie to get John Chick back in the lineup a little bit early, depending on how his recovery goes. But they may be forced to get a receiver off there.
Healthy Wes Cates. Riders thanking the football gods they have him right now. But Ken Miller, longtime coach, longtime baseball coach, probably thinking like a baseball manager right now. They run out of pitchers late in the game. I could go to look down the bench. Anybody catch the football?
It almost looked like Ken Miller might have been checking out his lineup card there to see who might be available and how they might have to shuffle the deck.
Washington, wide right. Corey Grant wide left, looks for Washington. Out of the shadows into the sunlight, and a first down. Despite all of this adversity and all of these injuries, the Riders continue to be so impressive.
This is way too easy for Michael Washington. Just jogs a few yards down the field. Easy catch, not much pressure. There just doesn't seem to be enough of a sense of urgency here from the Calgary Stampeders on either side of the football at this time.
The Green Riders have their way. Maybe it will be the defense that steps up for Calgary at some point. It's going to have to be something. They've had very little spark here.
Rod, you alluded earlier to that Edmonton game on Thursday night where there was a lull. The Eskimos had seemed to run out of gas early in that game and really lulled for 2 quarters. And that interception by Bradley Robinson turned the tide, and then it was one big catch by Kamau Peters that seemed to energize the entire team and the entire stadium. A football game can turn in an instant. All it takes is one play. Somebody needs to step up and make that play for Calgary, or else it's going to be a long afternoon.
The draw play has been the biggest weapon offensively for the Riders today, and giving the ball to Wes Cates is another first down, or very close to it.
And for all the changes and all the issues that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had with injuries, having to juggle their lineup, it seems, on a weekly basis, the one constant has been Wes Cates, and they've been able to rely on him week in and week out. Such a big part of their 5-0 start.
Look at that by the nose of the football. Look at the O-line here. Belton Johnson, right tackle.
You see Johnson takes his set and the big slap to throw the defensive end Justin Phillips upfield, and then he goes up to the second level. That's textbook. That's how you teach that draw play for an offensive tackle. Nice job from Belton Johnson. Another guy filling in because of the injury to Glenn January at left tackle. They shuffled Wayne Smith over. Johnson comes in on the right side.
Randall's had a lot of protection. Gets it away, but out of bounds was, well, Corey Grant was out of bounds just after he caught it, so they're giving him the catch. And knocked out of bounds.
This was very nearly an incompletion. The throw to Corey Grant. Watch his left foot almost touching the sidelines. Manages to stay in, though, to secure the football. See that official staring down at his foot.
Dave Foxcroft right there. to make the call. Second down, though, and 6 yards to go. Is it Cates' time again? Or will Crandall go to the air? Down the sideline. Bowman. That's Washington, actually, on the far side. And a good play that time by Brandon Browner. He's a tough guy to challenge. Not many challenge him. Rangy DB.
Working one-on-one on the outside, that short side. Washington gets behind him. Browner doesn't turn for the ball, but the read he makes, he watches the receiver's hands, waits for the receiver to reach for the ball, and then punches up with his hand to knock it out.
Jamie Bourne. Marcus Howell again at his 15-yard line. Against the breeze. Howell trying to find the edge. But look at how many Riders are down with no red jerseys in the area except number 88. 7:25 to go in the third quarter. Late in the day in Calgary. Stampeders trying to get something going offensively here. Joffrey Reynolds, left side, and the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, despite their changes, have really come and stepped up here this afternoon and making the Stampeders pay.
Well, not to take anything away from the performance of the Saskatchewan defense, because they have been so consistent all season long. But again, it's Calgary run on first down.
Second down, 4 yards. Another drop. Jermaine Copeland right into the sunshine.
And we'll recall in the first half when Brett Ralph dropped a couple of balls, both of them were on that side of the field. You'll be able to see a bit of the glare here as you watch the angle this ball is on.
There it is.
You see that the glare of that sun on our cameras on that side of the field.
Now that was Kenyon Rambo over there. Maybe he might have caught that ball just because he had that tinted visor.
Well, Henry Burris might want to start sharing the wealth on those red low glare contact lenses.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, a bad punt here. Dales, but it bounces. And out of bounds. Danite Hurd now is back. Carl Berman out. Third quarter here at McMahon Stadium. Saskatchewan Roughriders. 2-touchdown lead. This time on first down, Wes Cates nowhere to go as the Stampeder defense tries to stop the Riders here in their tracks with maybe a 2-and-out. There haven't been many of those today, though, because of Wes Cates, a 100-yard plus rushing game already.
And it's interesting to see the Saskatchewan Roughriders with those injuries in the receiving corps. Rob Bagg, the rookie out of Queen's University, the latest to be pressed into action. It'll be interesting to see if he'll be the latest to step up and make big plays for them.
Penalty flag flies. Rob Bagg was wide open on that play.
Shannon James almost came
Holding,
up with a big one.
Saskatchewan number 67. Penalty is declined. Third down.
So a 2-and-out indeed. Mike Abermeshrick. Penalty. Jamie Bourne will kick it away again. 21-7. Roughriders trying to go to 6-0. This is their best start since 1934. Undefeated team. The only one in the Canadian Football League right now. Looking very poised to make it 6 in a row. Howell now trying to get some running room. Marcus Howell snowed under. Renault Williams downfield. Also Anton McKenzie.
Now, the Calgary Stampeders have struggled to get their return game going, and Marcus Howell has established himself in the last couple of years here as being a very dangerous returner after a couple of years of really being utilized poorly, I would say, during his time in Ottawa. But they just haven't worked their schemes very well this season. The execution hasn't been there to spring Marcus Howell for a big one yet. Came into this game averaging just 7 yards a return.
Burris brought down. Deke Bake with the sack.
Good hard work here from Deke Bake from that defensive end spot. Also give a little bit of credit to the guys on the back end. Bake comes from the right side of your screen, that right edge, working against the new left tackle, Ben Archibald. Good hand slap, good effort to get there.
Deke Bake with his first CFL sack. You know, again, we haven't talked about the Riders missing John Chick a couple of weeks ago out of the lineup. Began the year losing Fred Perry. And out of the backfield, Joffrey Reynolds dropped it and picked it back up. And this is something that we haven't seen from the Stampeders. These little screen plays, the dump plays that might start to open things up a little more.
The screen draw, those are the sorts of things that break the rhythm of that defense, break their pace, their cadence, their timing, getting off the ball. If they know that it may not be, your typical drop back pass, a play where they have to double their back in their tracks. They may not be in such a hurry to get upfield and get after the quarterback when you give them something else that they have to think about and honor. And that's the kind of thing that's the kind of effect that a screenplay provides.
Newcomer Denate Hurd already has an interception here in his first CFL game. And as the punt return, oh, and there's a face mask call and another one by Brandon Browner. Sometimes maybe Brandon Browner's energy is, his excitement might get a little too much for him as he gets downfield. That's 2 face mask calls against him here today.
Major.
You'll see Brandon Browner grab here.
Well, that's 2 now. 3 penalties for him on the day, but 2 face mask calls.
Well, 2 face masks and 1 no yards. The no yards was of the 15-yard variety. The one piece of advice for Brandon Browner, love the hustle getting downfield on special teams, but you got to break down. You have to get under control as you start to approach the returner. He'll still be able to, then he'll be the guy drawing penalties because people will start blocking him in the back.
3.5 minutes here. Score has stayed the same since halftime. For the end of the third quarter. Really a ball possession game now. A lot of 2-and-outs. We've talked before this game about that kind of playoff type atmosphere. Certainly the crowd sold out here. A lot of Rider fans and Stamp fans. But both offenses have struggled here.
It's a game that just seems to be begging for a big play one way or the other. As you said, we approach the end of the third quarter. It's a 14-point game. Saskatchewan can go up by 21. They make things very tough on Calgary. If Calgary scores, it gives them some momentum and pulls them within 7.
Washington has it, dropped it, and it's an incomplete pass. Stampeders bit on that little pump fake. Washington was open.
And any question here, the completion, remember, Michael Washington on this one, after he has the ball, so to speak, he wasn't touched by a defender. He still needs to survive that contact with the ground and didn't, and his feet slid out of bounds at the end too.
Guess what? Another 2-and-out. 2:35 to go before the end of the third quarter. Touchdowns for Crandall from a Darius Bowman early on and Wes Cates. Luka Kwanji has a couple field goals today. Now Marcus Howell gets a good block. Howell with his best return in quite some time. Marcus Howell out of bounds. And finally a spark here from the Stampeder return team, thanks to Marcus Howell.
There's a key block right at the point of attack that creates this. Going to keep an eye on Kidwana Jones, number 46. Was blocked right in the middle of your screen. Terrific block, got him from the side. Nick Lewis again with a big block. That brings Marcus Howell to the outside. Could this be the big play the Stampeders were looking for to generate some momentum?
A big play by a receiver on a block. Out of the backfield. The screen pass again. Joffrey Reynolds has a first down. Good recognition that time. Play looked like it was set up from Burris to Reynolds.
Joffrey Reynolds just leaked out of the backfield. Caught those second-level defenders dropping deep. Had a big cushion, easy completion, and another way to get the ball into the hands of Joffrey Reynolds, and it's something different on first down.
And guess what? The Stampeders' first down in this second half. And it comes with 1:21 to go in the third quarter. Reynolds again, running room. Joffrey Reynolds now spins down near the 10-yard line, and there's a penalty flag at the 20-yard line. It's coming back. Every time the Stampeders take one step forward, they're taking a few more back.
Holding, Calgary number 68. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That penalty against Rob Lazio.
Rob Lazio, the center, works to his left, and you see him reach that right arm out, grabbing back at Marcus Adams. And spins him around.
A great call by the officials on that one.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, no doubt. First and 20. Again, out of the backfield. Needs some blocking help now. Reynolds. It's just beyond the original marker. Of about 12 or 13 yards.
Well, the Stampeders seem to have found something that they're having a little bit of success with. The screen passes and little dump passes to Joffrey Reynolds. Thrown that Saskatchewan defense off that rhythm. A little bit off balance.
So a 14-yard pickup, 2nd and 6. Might be the final play of the third quarter. A big play coming up for the Stampeders. Looks like offside against Saskatchewan. Burris steps out of bounds. Anton McKenzie had him in his grasp for a potential sack. 1 second to go in the third quarter. And this looks like it was against Saskatchewan. They look like they jumped. Or did they?
Saskatchewan was anxious on that play. They had the safety blitz coming. Everybody was keyed up knowing that blitz was coming. And they jumped the snap count.
Offside, Saskatchewan number 96. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
So barring penalty, this should be the final play of the third quarter. 2nd down, 1 yard to go. Be a yard and a half. Reynolds in the backfield with Burris in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his left. He's going to burn this one, going to go to the end zone. Touchdown! Nick Lewis. When the Riders were thinking run, the Stampeders found the end zone.
You just had a feeling the way things have gone today, if this Calgary offense was going to come up with a big play, it was going to come from Nick Lewis. He's done it with some big blocks. We saw him with the high hurdle earlier. Well, that nice corner route. Great throw, great touch from Henry Burris. Calgary Stampeders, after a big lull, are right back into this ball game.
Down a touchdown now. Nick Lewis, his 6th major of the season. On the final play of the third quarter, Calgary Stampeders get their first touchdown of the day. Our third quarter numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always. The big play indeed on that drive. Joffrey Reynolds with a big play. The crowd gets into it. Suddenly the Stampeders are back in it.
Well, they sure are, and we talked about the fact that the game can change in an instant and how big that next score would be. Calgary Stampeders come up with it, and it shows the importance of the three phases of the game. That big punt return by Marcus Howell gave them the field position to set things up. And Nick Lewis, a guy who's come up with some big plays, including a key block on that punt return, comes up with a big one here on that corner route.
Lewis, right in your living room. In the end zone for the first time today, go the Stampeders. He's had a high hurdle today. He went over 5,000 yards, a couple of huge blocks, and took it to the house. James Patrick is back to return now, and not only affected by the injuries, the receivers, but also the return game, obviously, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as the injuries continue to mount here. And they still continue to lead and have an undefeated record in the absence of so many key players.
Well, so true that so many people wondered, would this finally be the week for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as those injuries mounted? You wonder, you know, there's a difficult team to bet against with the adversity that they've overcome up to this point. But you wonder if at some point there's a breaking point with so many injuries piling up.
Crandall. Corey Grant has it. Corey Grant will be leaving his team, heading to Hamilton, his wife. Expecting their first child, and Corey Grant will be heading home after this ball game. Look at the current injuries. We don't have a big enough page and graphic. This might be to be continued because there are a number of others, but these are significant ones.
And a couple of those that have been added today, and the key thing here is so many of those on offense. Fantuz, Darian Durant, who had played so well for them, adding Matt Dominguez to that list today, Carl Berman, DJ Flick.
Michael Palmer dropped it this time, and it was dangerous. It could have been picked off there. And guess what? A 2 and out now for the Riders. Have you ever seen a team take so many hits in the injury department, and a winning team takes so many hits?
Well, this is unreal. Through 6 weeks of the season, to imagine the number of injuries that they have sustained, yet still managed to perform at a very high level. So much credit to Ken Miller and that coaching staff for having all of their players well prepared.
Carl Berman doesn't look like he's coming back. Ankle injury. Wonder how long he will be out. Marcus Howell helped put his team back on the board. Might have some room this time again. Trying to find the near sideline to the 42-yard line. 21-14 Saskatchewan. Getting close to sundown in Cowtown. Stampeders trying to fight their way back. Play action, Burris takes off with it, hook slide, and oh, what a collision between a couple of riders as they were looking to knock Burris's block off.
Well, credit Scott Gordon on this play. He likes to take out his own player, Sean Lucas, because he knows that if he doesn't pull up and go high to go over top of the sliding Henry Burris, he's going to get flagged on that one.
Another one. Carl Berman. We've seen too much of this season. Way too much. 1st and 10. Burris going deep. Ralph is open. Can he get it? No. And again, wide open. Brett Ralph.
There was a window there. But the connection was just a little bit off. It seemed as if Ralph had slowed down a little bit when he realized he was in open space. Burris tried to lead him with the ball, and the timing as a result was off on the play. If Ralph had maintained his speed, he settled down when he was in a little bit of open space. If he had maintained his speed right through, he might have had a shot.
12 of 27 only for Henry Burris. Touchdown, interception. Very winnable game still for the Stampeders. Burris has to dance out of the pocket. Pass caught by Nick Lewis. He has been the most effective receiver for the Stampeders today.
The game plan for the Stampeders at this point might just be pound the ball into Nick Lewis, because he seems to be the guy who's on, the guy who's hot. A little bit like in basketball, that guy who's got the hot hand. Keep feeding him the ball. That's Nick Lewis right now.
Feed the fire. To the air again. Brett Ralph takes a hit, hangs on. Denate Hurd with the tackle.
That was a big stick from Hurd. Good job by Brett Ralph to hang on to that football after going up high to get it.
Second and short yardage. Last time Stamps were second in short yardage in Saskatchewan territory. Burris threw to Nick Lewis for the touchdown. Going for the first down, Jermaine Copeland. In and out of his hands again.
The one thing I'd like to have seen here from the Calgary Stampeders, the second and short situation, keep the threat of running the football alive. Joffrey Reynolds is going to move up early here from the backfield to move into a pass blocking situation. He moves before the snap. That gives the defense a cue that it's not going to be a run play once he's in front of his quarterback. If they can keep Reynolds back a little bit later, at least even with the quarterback, and take off full speed at the snap to get into position, then you at least make the defense honor the run for a little bit longer.
Sandro DeAngelis from the 43, and it's good. The kickers have been perfect here. 4-point game, 21-17 Saskatchewan. A lot of talk about helmets, concussions, and safety. Here's a bit of innovation.
Yeah, if you look at those red circles inside a new helmet put out by Rodell, those are sensors, and there's a battery pack in that helmet. What this allows is for the helmet after a practice or after a game to be connected via antenna to the computer. And there's a software program. You see here a program that keeps track of the data as to where the blows are coming to the head and the impact of those blows as they look to do some research to try to reduce the number of concussions occurring. You see this actually came from the helmet of Dave Dickinson based on hits he's taken during games this season. You see the hits to different areas and so on. This data goes into a database for all teams using these programs, including NCAA teams, a couple of CFL teams using these to allow them to try to determine trends and prevent concussions down the road based on what they learned from that research.
Handoff again to Wes Cates. Bursts up the middle for another first down. A very important bit of technology, especially trying to reduce the amount of head injuries and concussions. And Dave Dickinson certainly has had his share concussion problems.
Well, Dave Dickinson's history was the thing that initiated Calgary's use of this program. A couple other Stampeders are also experimenting with those helmets this year. Their center, Rob Lazio, Mark Kalikst, who plays a lot on special teams where there can be a lot of high-impact shots as well.
Chris Sarka in the game, fullback now on the line. Play action to Cates. And Darius Bowman can't come up with a football. So it will be second down and 10 yards to go. Bowman has been quiet here in the second half. Again, dearth of receivers now for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the injuries continuing to pile up. Lost Matt Dominguez today. Carl Berman is out of the game.
And the thing you have to realize, Rod, is that being a receiver isn't as simple as just running routes and catching the football. Communication is a big part of it. Recognizing things that the defense is doing, making your adjustments to blitz, getting people to the right positions. And when you lose experienced guys from your receiving corps, it can often lead to breakdowns because those are the guys who are usually directing traffic out there.
Knocked down, a big defensive play from Dwayne Carpenter.
We've seen this from Carpenter a couple times here today. Spying Marcus Crandall a little bit. You're going to see Carpenter come in, hang back a little bit, just gets the hands up. They tried to get it to Michael Palmer on the crossing route underneath.
Fourth pass knockdown from that front seven today. The Calgary Stampeders. Marcus Howell back again. The Riders, for their last 6 possessions, have had it to boot the ball away. Have not added to their tally they had at the half. 21 points. It remains there. They lead by 4. Howell to play it on the bounce. Down right there. Stamps down by 4. Look who's back in Calgary. First time in 11 years. Doug Flutie. The greatest, if not the greatest, CFL player ever at halftime. His name and number on the Wall of Fame here, along with Frank Andruski and Rocco Romano, a couple of ex-teammates of Dwayne Ford's. Andruski, who played back in the late 60s, early 70s. Henry Burris has to dance here and scramble to the far sideline. Brett Ralph has the first down. Doug Flutie. Dinner last night. Later this year will be inducted into the CFL Hall of Fame. What a Hall of Fame class with Pinball Clemens, John Bonk, Mike Pringle, and Tom Shepard. And look what Doug Flutie was doing earlier today. Taking a little batting practice. Not playing football anymore. He's an analyst on ESPN. And he's with the Calgary Vipers across the street. Taking a little BP. Playing in a baseball league for over 30 guys now.
Doug was telling me on Thursday night, pitched 9 innings in a game, said he can still throw mid-80s on his fastball.
The only thing is that guys don't have to dive to make the final catch. Those Hail Marys. They don't have to use 2 hands. What a tremendous guy, tremendous athlete. And it'll be a great ceremony in Hamilton later in the season when he takes his rightful place. What a Hall of Fame class, huh?
Fantastic.
Joffrey Reynolds, a big gain there. The Stamps now have some momentum here in the second half. 7 minutes to go, fourth quarter. Down 4. Pump fake. Burris looking for Kenyon Rambo. He's got it! Omar Morgan did a great job blanketing Rambo. Laid out, caught the football.
Well, this was an out-and-up play where you try to get the defensive back to bite up on that pump fake on the out. Omar Morgan didn't. He stayed right with Kenyon Rambo, but just at the last second, Rambo with the tiniest of push-offs to gain some separation, burst for that football. Very well played by Kenyon Rambo. Quiet all day, but when a big play was needed, he delivered.
Near the red zone. Burris, Teo Johnson, his first catch. Big tight end. Anton McKenzie pulling down the native of White Rock, BC. Brother of Rial Johnson, another CFLer. Teo Johnson, not a lot of action here in this game, but Stampeders with out fullback Rob Cote today. Different set, a different formation for them. Johnson on the sideline. Second down and 13. And a quick whistle. Now we'll go against the Calgary Stampeders.
Procedure. Calgary number 62, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
That's rookie Jesse Newman.
Early jump. Henry Burris knows. Missed opportunity.
Jesse, come on. Talked with him yesterday. And Nick Lewis said he has total control in the huddle. And sometimes when they're Going for that kill shot. Last words he'll say, touchdown, guys, let's go. Looking for one, and knocked down by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who make Henry Burris this time pay for it. James Patrick. As the Riders were bringing the house.
In this case, they're in that nickel package. They bring Patrick in as the extra DB. He sneaks up late into that B gap. He fought off a block by Joffrey Reynolds. Kept working to the quarterback. As Burris tried to step up and release, Patrick was there to knock the ball away.
Just like their last drive, stalling now and have to bring Sandro DeAngelis out. Brett Ralph the hold, the 37-yard line. And once again, DeAngelis. And suddenly, a one-point game in Calgary. Calgary Stampeders, who trailed by a couple of major scores, have fought back, battled back here. It's the Saskatchewan Roughriders who have been silenced offensively, and a lot of that has to do with injury here in this second half. Missing some key components, particularly Matt Dominguez. And the momentum, because of a punt return by Marcus Howell, has shifted. And the Stamps are within 1 point. Can Crandall respond? Play action, roll out. Corey Grant close to the first down. In fact, he has it.
This is a nice job by the veteran Corey Grant on the comeback route on the outside, working towards the sidelines, pushed his man downfield as Marcus Crandall rolled out. Grant then comes back towards the football.
All season, this team, Dwayne Ford, every time we've watched them, talked with them, they've talked about chemistry and belief. And a lot of that is residue of winning that silver mug, the Grey Cup.
There's no doubt about it. We keep saying, learning to win, learning to lose, and this is a team that learned to win last year. And that lesson is ingrained.
Chris Sarka, the human monster truck. First touch today, and back in the lineup for the Riders. And this is why they have learned how to win, particularly in the fourth quarter.
Well, and you look particularly against Hamilton. They didn't take the lead until 32 seconds left. Against Montreal, took the lead with 2 minutes left. Against Toronto, 3 minutes left. Late in games, the Saskatchewan Roughriders know how to get the job done. They have confidence. Knowing how to win means having confidence in late game situations, not panicking when you're behind, believing you're going to win.
Second down and 5. Play action, Crandall in trouble. And he gets it off to Adarius Bowman. Bowman, a huge gain. And another big play by Adarius Bowman today, who scored earlier for the Roughriders.
A big play by Adarius Bowman, but terrific poise in the pocket here by Marcus Crandall, keeping the eyes downfield, knowing that he's going to get hit. He's got a receiver, stands in there and takes the shot to make a play. Right on the spot as he's wrapped up by Charleston Hughes. Perfect throw to Adarius Bowman.
Suddenly, life again offensively for the Roughriders. Wes Cates time. And a field goal here is big too. As we go to the 3-minute warning, would make it a 4-point game. Would make the Stampeders have to take it to the house. 3-minute warning on the field. We'll come back. Well, could be another last-minute thriller here tonight. Game story brought to you by MGD. Nothing to hide.
Well, this game got off to a bizarre start with the disqualification early on of Juwan Armour. A little more normalcy, or at least what we've become used to. Wes Cates over 100 yards. Saskatchewan receivers getting injured. What else is new? And Nick Lewis making plays.
Second down and 4. Cates in the backfield. Crandall looks like he wants to throw. And he does. A quick hitter. And dropped by Mike Washington. This time it's a Saskatchewan receiver who should have had the ball. And Luca Conji will come out. Perfect this season.
Washington's an outside receiver to the left side of your screen, just a quick slant route, gets that inside position, but unable to secure the catch.
So a make will make Calgary have to get a touchdown in these final 2 minutes. Hold down, and there it goes. The perfect record for Luka Kanji. And this is the worst possible time to break that string of perfection. It's still a 2-point game, but now the Stamps can march, kill some of the clock, and bring Sandro DeAngelis out. Now the NFL season around the corner. The NFL preseason Hall of Fame game. Colts-Redskins tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Kind of excited to see some of the Canadian content in that game, including University of Sherbrooke grad Samuel Giguère as a rookie with the Colts.
Burris. Open is Ralph. Just shy of a first down. It will depend on the spot here. And just like the game 2 nights ago, Dwayne, that one play singularly really has changed the face of this game. In the second half, that punt return giving the Stampeders some life offensively. Nick Lewis the touchdown. Nick Lewis has been a big part. And maybe Sandro DeAngelis to find himself in that clutch position. Luka Kanji missing for the first time this season. Burris still on his feet, lunges ahead over the midfield stripe. Was in heavy pursuit by the Riders.
And this Calgary offense has shown an ability to perform under pressure this season. Even think about the 2 games that they've lost late. Bear in mind, they've scored points late as well to give their team a lead and look like they had sealed the game. It was just a matter of the defense being unable to hold it on the other team's final possession. But this offense has been good in clutch situations.
Riders, defense needs a stop. There's that little screen pass to Reynolds. Kenzie in on the tackle along with Eddie Davis. Now this is a big play coming up, one of the biggest in the ball game. 2nd and 5 yards. There's Richie Hall, defensive coordinator.
Well, we've talked about this playoff atmosphere throughout this game. You feel that intensity ramping up again right now.
Burris caught, and it looks like a first down. And guess who you go to in this situation here tonight? Mr. Big Play, Nick Lewis.
Well, this is going to be close to a first down. Maybe awaiting measurement. Watch Nick Lewis, the inside receiver at the bottom of the screen. Quick out. A better throw on a well-timed play. He gets the first down easily. But the low ball allows the defenders to get to Lewis when he has to go down to get it.
And you're right, at the hit where the spot is, they are going to be a little shy here. Half a yard. Almost a full yard, so it'll be 3rd down. Big bodies coming into the game now for John Hufnagel. On this 3rd down play, 1:15 to go.
This young offensive line that has struggled against the pressure from the Saskatchewan defense here today has a big opportunity to redeem themselves in this critical situation.
Calgary number 56 and Calgary number 59 are reporting as eligible for this play.
Third down play now. Burris, hands, and maybe, did he get it? Now all depends on the spot. Saskatchewan thinks they stuffed them. Joffrey Reynolds looking at the spot, and I'm not sure the Stampeders got there.
What a surge from that Saskatchewan defense.
Well, it was all the spot. And now the moment of truth. They didn't get it. What a stop from the Roughriders. Team that has believed all year. Still a minute 4 away. There's still a chance that Calgary could get the football back with some time. What a stuff.
Right in the middle of that, Maurice Lloyd, who's been in Joffrey Reynolds' face in the ground game all day.
And right now there is going to be a challenge, I guess, on the spot here. Supervisor upstairs can challenge, will challenge, or will tell the officials to look go under the hood in the final 3 minutes. Coach is unable to challenge. John Huffnagel is hoping above anything that they will change this. Boy, this is so hard to do, though. Let's take a look, Dwayne.
Here's a look right along the line. They've got to get a yard past that 45-yard line. You can see the markers in the background.
Anton McKenzie,
the video review. The spotting of the ball was correct. The ruling on the play stands. First down, Saskatchewan.
What a divisive crowd. Half Rough Rider, half Stampeder. But a minute 4 here still to go. So the Saskatchewan Rough Riders have to use the clock properly here. The first down virtually could seal it. 2-point ball game. And should they win this game, the Rough Riders would go to 6-0, and they have won it in every way imaginable. Every game has been so different. But they keep on winning if they get this one.
No making excuses, just making plays.
Loss of so many key players. Matt Dominguez now out. John Chick. Andy Fantu's out. DJ Flick. Glenn January today. Stampeders really have the game in their hands here. Needed to convert it. Another foot. Only a couple of seconds used up on the clock. But again, chance that Calgary could get the ball back. And you know, in the CFL, the big play receivers that the Stampeders have, they could get it back into field goal position.
Anything can happen. We'll come down to this next play to determine whether the Stamps are going to get that ball back.
Marcus Crandall back as the starter for Darian Durant. Helped this team win a couple of games, and then he went out with injury. No mirrors, though. They've earned every win they've gotten. Well, an injury on the field as we wait on that with a minute 1 to go. We can tell you not to miss the 2-hour season premiere of the sci-fi thriller Torchwood. Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Pacific. And it's on space. Look at all those Rough Rider fans. We had a chance to be out there. There's nothing quite like, you know, obviously the big rivalry in Alberta is the Eskimos and Stampeders. Next up is this one. And a lot of people may say, how did all those Saskatchewan people make the trip here? Well, you know, why would, you know, this sixth game in, but there are a lot of Saskatchewan people living here, Rider fans, and of course a lot of bus loads that came down. But watermelon sales apparently weren't very good over the last couple of days. They were good, but if you wanted to buy watermelon to eat, forget it.
Well, the word on the street was you couldn't get a watermelon in this city because you know how those Rough Rider fans love to cut them up and put them on their heads.
Tailgate party was a sight to behold. They get here early. Melon heads. And that's really the spirit of the league. Our league, as CFL has proclaimed this year. Timeout on the field. 1:01 to go. 2nd and 9. Now the Stampeder defense needs a big stop here.
Second and 9 should put them in a pretty good position. You've got to think that Saskatchewan's going to want to go with something fairly safe. Common sense would dictate maybe a screen or a draw type play to West Cates. Those Calgary's got to make sure that they're getting after Marcus Crandall, but got to do it under control.
Play clock down to 4. Game clock starts now. West Cates is short of a first down. Only a yard or two short. This will be a 3rd down play now. 57 seconds left on the clock. Jamie Borum will come out, and indeed the Stampeders will have a chance to still march down and maybe get a chance to win this game.
A big Jamie Borum punt here creates an opportunity to pin the Calgary Stampeders very deep in their own end. Good time for the Stamps to come with pressure to try to prevent Borum from putting it exactly where he wants it.
Play clock winding down to 2 seconds, 37 seconds left. Marcus Howell now. There's a seam, there's a penalty flag. And now a hurry-up offense and a couple of quick plays downfield. Otherwise, Saskatchewan Roughriders will be 6-0.
Illegal block. Calgary number 23. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Shannon James, the infraction, and now they'll have to go a long way.
That's where you have to be so aware of the situation. You got to know to lay off. If you see the guy's back, make the decision, lay off. Don't make that block. Team was in enough of a hole as it was.
Here we go. 27 seconds left. Burris. Reynolds will try to get out of bounds. Brought down. 6 seconds were used up on that clock. Now the Stamps have to hurry up here.
Great effort by that Saskatchewan defense to keep Reynolds in bounds.
They still have to go about 80 yards here to get in field goal position. A lot of time being taken off the clock. And now they're really down to their last gasp, and they could use some of that Doug Flutie magic on the sideline, a Hail Mary or something, because 12 seconds remain. that time, almost impossible to get it into field goal position and have enough time to kick one.
Yeah, you got to think this is just going to be send them all deep. All goes.
Send them deep. Maybe hope that the catch is made with some time left, or there's a penalty flag as well. 12 seconds to go. This could be it. Burris stays in down the sideline. Is it caught? It is, but by Saskatchewan. No, Calgary. The official says Calgary has the ball. And might that have been a simultaneous reception? Let's see. James Patrick, Jermaine Copeland. And if it is, Patrick has it, but
well,
they
Patrick
are saying,
up with it.
And this was like the Matt Dominguez play a few weeks ago. Now will the supervisor take a look at this one as well? Supervisor upstairs can ask Jake Ireland to come over and take a look.
The replay booth has asked for review.
And that's what they'll do. What do you think? We've seen this before, the simultaneous catch.
Well, breaking the play down, you're going to see Copeland go up for the ball. You break a pretty good argument here for a simultaneous catch. But what I think the debate's going to be is, was there a point, does Copeland ever have the ball on the ground with Patrick touching him? It doesn't look like he does.
This was a couple weeks ago. Matt Dominguez, Marcus Stell in the end zone, simultaneous, and it looked at that time, as Estelle came up with it, it went to Dominguez for the touchdown in the driving rain, and it led to a victory. Almost every call, review, everything this year has gone Ken Miller's way. Here comes Jake Ireland with the verdict.
The ruling on the field was a simultaneous catch with both players in possession when they hit the ground. Video review confirms this ruling. Therefore, it is the offense's ball. Calgary, first down.
It is offense ball. Jermaine Copeland was preying on that decision. And now, with 2 seconds to go, Sandro DeAngelis has a chance to win the game. This would be a 54-yarder. His career long is 56. And it comes to this. Last play for the win. And they're going to ice him.
I don't know if you can
Timeout,
ice Sandro DeAngelis.
Saskatchewan.
He has made a number of clutch kicks to win ball games. And when he does, he usually runs out of the stadium or does some sort of dance. But this is going to be a challenging one. This is big, and it is against the wind. The wind has died down.
Just a very slight breeze. But Sandro DeAngelis, as good a clutch player at any position as there is in the Canadian Football League. If you had to pick someone to pin your hopes on, this is the guy.
The hold, it will not be enough. It's wide, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders will escape Calgary, winning 22-21, and the defending Grey Cup champions are 6-0. Boy, there were a lot of mini games played in that last fourth quarter. It came down to a couple of tense moments. Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra.
Got late in the game with the Calgary Stampeders looking like they were on their way to engineer another late scoring drive. The Saskatchewan defense 2nd and 1 with a huge stuff. to end that momentum in a hurry. Close this one out.
Turning point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. And how about the kickers? Both of them perfect throughout the game. Luca Congi misses, and then Sandro DeAngelis misses a chance to win the ball game. They go back at it next week as well. Stampeders 3-3. The Riders are undefeated.